Every 6 days in Canada, a woman is killed by her intimate partner, and 1 in 3 women will experience sexual violence during their lifetime. These are just some of the statistics that advocates are hoping to draw attention to as we mark the National Day of Remembrance and Action on Violence Against Women. Joining us now is the CEO of the YWCA in Canada, Aline Nizigama. Thanks so much for being with us. Now, today marks 34 years since 14 young women were shot and killed at Montreal's École Polytechnique school. Can you speak to us about what kind of changes have happened in our country since then?
Yes, thank you, Melissa. Thanks for having me today. It is such an important day today to continue to highlight, first of all, the remembrance that we need to have to remember the 14 young women who lost their lives on this day, on December 6th in '89, and also to highlight the needed work that continues to be, we continue to see the need across the country currently. And as you know, YWCA is, we are the largest provider of emergency shelters for women and children who are fleeing violence. And we know we've been at the forefront of this work for actually over 150 years. And we've seen a lot of changes. As you may know, there's now a strategy, a 10-year strategy to prevent and address gender-based violence that the federal government announced in 2017 in response to gender-based violence, and building on different initiatives that had passed, and mostly just with 3 pillars: prevent GBV, which is short for gender-based violence, supporting victims and survivors and their families, and then promoting a responsive justice system.
So these steps are being taken, but numbers from the Canadian Femicide Observatory for Justice Accountability, they're disturbing. They show a steady increase of women and girls who were violently killed in Canada since 2019. What kind of factors do you see contributing to this gender-based violence?
We know that, like, currently right now, the YWCA and our 29 member associations across the country are actively working on sounding the alarm about around the intersections between the housing crisis right now and gender-based violence. So we know that many women continue to face violence because there's just no safe place to go. Shelters are full, and we know that the economic conditions are also a factor. And we've also observed the fact that the pandemic worsened some of those critical issues in that people were confined, sometimes with their abusers, and then just with no place to go. We know that now that with the affordability issues, there's just like no place that some of the communities that we serve can turn to have an affordable apartment to go to. So we know that there's a critical need to continue to tie those 2 issues together, and to ensure that people are not turned away at shelters, and that we have some options for affordable supportive housing that is trauma informed, that really is designed with and by and for women in mind. And so really, to summarize, the pandemic didn't help. We saw that things got deeper and got more complex, and the numbers continued, the statistics just continued to increase. So there's, we can talk about poverty, we can talk about the housing crisis, and we can talk about the lack of affordable places to live and shelters to turn to when someone is in crisis. We know that financial situations are the #1 reason why women who are fleeing violence return. 1 in 5 women returns to their abusers because there's just no way they can afford to live on their own.
You know, just a tragic storm, keeping women where they don't want to be. Something to keep in mind, too, when we talk about the housing crisis, just as the ripple effect from that. The YWCA has sent a letter to Premier Doug Ford calling for a provincial declaration of intimate partner violence as an epidemic. Why would this declaration be important to your cause?
I think it would send a strong message that this is a critical issue. It's not going anywhere. We don't seem to be advancing really in any meaningful ways at the pace at which we're going. And we just think that one more woman who's killed is one woman too many. And it really is an epidemic because it continues to show up in many communities. And we know that it's even more important for indigenous communities, for Black and racialized communities, for women who are living in the rural and remote settings.
It is December 6th. Thank you for that information. A day to remember and demand action. That's Aline Nizagama, CEO of the YWCA Canada. Thanks so much for being with us today.
Thank you so much, Melissa. Take care.